Have you ever had that sinking feeling in the pit of your stomach that something just isn't right? You know, that intuition that tells you the ground is shifting beneath your feet, even if you can't quite see it yet. If you've been following the recent headlines coming out of Westminster, you might be feeling exactly that way right now, and you are certainly not alone. This week, the incomparable Michelle Dewberry, a woman who has never been afraid to say exactly what the rest of us are thinking, took to the airwaves on GB News to voice a concern that is resonating with millions of Britons. She sounded the alarm on Labour's push for a mandatory digital ID system, and honestly, her warning is one we really need to listen to. Calling the plan appalling, Michelle didn't mince her words, and why should she? This is about our freedom, our privacy, and the very relationship between the individual and the state. A major change without permission? Let's be real for a second. When we go to the ballot box, we expect a certain level of transparency. We vote based on manifestos, on promises, and on the vision a party lays out for the country. But as Michelle pointed out with righteous frustration, this massive shift in how we live and work in the UK wasn't exactly plastered on the Labour campaign billboards, was it? Speaking candidly on the People's Channel, Michelle hit the nail on the head. It doesn't sit well with me. This whole notion that the current government could force digital ID, make it mandatory for all of us. She continued, capturing the sense of betrayal many feel. This was not in their manifesto, and no one voted for this kind of stuff. I think it's appalling. And she's right. It feels like the goalposts have been moved while we weren't looking. The proposal, which Sir Keir Starmer teased earlier this year, aims to introduce these digital IDs by 2029. The government claims it's a necessary step to clamp down on illegal working and, by extension, illegal migration. On paper, stopping illegal working sounds like a noble goal, but when the solution involves mandating that every single person working in the UK must have a digital tag, the alarm bells start ringing. The trust deficit, why we are skeptical. Joining Michelle was pollster and fellow presenter Matthew Goodwin, who brought a heavy dose of reality to the conversation. His take wasn't just about the logistics of ID cards, it was about something much deeper and more emotional: trust. To put it simply, do we trust the state with this much power? Matthew didn't hold back, calling the move another example of the democratic contract being broken. He voiced a sentiment that I think many of us feel deep in our bones. The British state hasn't exactly earned a gold star for competence lately. To be frank, Michelle, I don't trust the British state anymore with ID, Matthew admitted. And really, can you blame him? He rattled off a list of failures that still sting for many families across the UK. I don't trust a state that couldn't even preside properly over things like the Horizon scandal, the NHS infected blood scandal, a state that has been pretty incompetent on all of the big issues of the day. Let's pause on that for a moment. Think about the Horizon scandal. Innocent sub-postmasters had their lives ruined, their reputations shredded, and some were even jailed because of a computer error that the state and big institutions refused to acknowledge. Think about the infected blood scandal, where lives were lost due to negligence. When you look at that track record, handing over our digital identity to the same machinery feels less like a safety measure and more like a gamble with our personal freedom. As Matthew firmly put it, so I'm pretty firmly opposed to digital ID. The voluntary illusion. One of the trickiest parts of this whole saga is how it's being sold to us. Sir Keir Starmer has been keen to stress that, apart from the right to work, the ID system won't be mandatory. But let's be honest with each other here. What does that actually mean? Unless you are independently wealthy or retired, you have to work. If you can't get a job without a digital ID, then having a digital ID isn't a choice. It's a requirement for survival. It's like saying, you don't have to have a driver's license unless you want to drive a car. This mandatory for work angle is a backdoor to making it mandatory for life. And that is exactly what makes Michelle's "it doesn't sit well with me" comment so relatable. It feels like we are being treated like children, told one thing while the reality is something completely different. The Great British Exodus. During the segment, Michelle pivoted to another point that is both heartbreaking and revealing. While discussing the government's claims about reducing net migration, she offered a sobering reality check. Well, loads of people are so chuffed today because it's come out that net migration has actually reduced, she noted. They're celebrating this fact, but they shouldn't be celebrating it actually. Why? Because of who is leaving. One of the primary reasons that net migration is down, ladies and gents, is because of the sheer volume of British nationals who have actually decided to leave this country. This connects directly back to the issue of digital IDs. People leave a country when they feel it no longer serves them, when they feel overtaxed, overregulated, and unheard. When the government starts tightening the screws on civil liberties, like introducing mandatory IDs that weren't voted for, it contributes to an atmosphere where people just want out. It's a tragic thought, Britons feeling so stifled by their own nation that they pack their bags. The people push back. Thankfully, it seems the British public isn't taking this lying down. We are a stubborn bunch when it comes to our freedoms, and rightly so. The pushback against this scheme has been massive. Did you know that over 2.9 million people have backed a petition opposing the scheme? That is a staggering number. That's nearly 3 million voices screaming, "No thank you." Furthermore, polling by More Common shows that public support for digital ID cards has absolutely plummeted. In early summer, support was hovering around 35%, which was already low. Following Sir Keir Starmer's announcement in September, that support dropped to -14%. That isn't just a drop, that is a collapse. It shows that the more people learn about this plan, the less they like it. Who is pulling the strings? Despite the public outcry, the Prime Minister is pressing ahead. In a move that screams bureaucracy, he has now handed central government overall responsibility for the initiative. In a written statement, Starmer confirmed, to deliver this cross-government priority, the Cabinet Office will take full responsibility for the new digital identity scheme, including policy development, legislation, and strategic oversight. The Department for Science, Innovation and Technology will handle the tech side, but make no mistake, this is being driven from the very top. Final thoughts, a line in the sand. It's easy to feel helpless when big government changes start rolling out, but voices like Michelle Dewberry's are essential. She reminds us that it is okay to question authority. It is okay to say, "Hold on a minute, I didn't vote for this." The idea of a digital ID might seem convenient to some, a quick way to prove who you are. But in the hands of a state that has repeatedly failed its citizens, and when implemented in a way that feels forced, it becomes a symbol of something much darker. It represents a loss of privacy, a loss of autonomy, and a shift toward a society where we are tracked, monitored, and managed. Michelle Dewberry is right to say it doesn't sit well with her. It shouldn't sit well with any of us. As we look toward 2029, the conversation about our digital rights is only going to get louder. The question is, will the government listen to the millions of people saying no, or will they push ahead regardless? Only time will tell, but one thing is for sure, we'll be watching.